What up, peeps? Mr. Bones back at you for another Dollar Tree Theater, brought to you by Hobbs Horror. And we're talking about Nobody Gets Out Alive. Says an homage to some of the great slasher films of the 70s and 80s. Horror Hound gives it 4 out of 4 stars. The Last Reel says it's a solid scare that's worth the trip. This was directed by Jason Christopher Mayer. Directed and written by him. Stars Jen Dance, David L. Bonner, Sean Paul Costello. You got Jen Dance as Jen, David J. Bonner as Darren, Sean Paul Costello as Mike, Chelsea Garner as Michelle, Matthew Nadeau as Danny, Chris Reddy as Jared, Nikki Bell as Angie, Brian Gallagher as Hunter Ist, Clint Howard as Dr. Owen. His scene is so small it's crazy. You got Patrick Michael as Harold. Shout out to the cheetah. Yeah, you got Clint Howard in here. His name's on the front, but he's in such a tiny scene where he plays a doctor. And this is, everyone thought the stories about Brayton Woods and the madman who lurks there were just urban legends. They say that he watches from the shadows, waiting for the innocent and unlucky to cross his bloody path. And this is one myth that will prove all too real for an unsuspecting group of teenagers. What begins as a weekend away from home soon becomes a horrific, desperate fight for survival, as their tormentor unleashes his savage, unrelenting fury upon them one by one. Yeah, so kind of a low budget slasher, kind of a normal, simple recipe. A guy in the woods, and if you're in his woods and you're drinking, you're dying. The backstory goes, it starts off, it's this guy with his daughter, and she's playing over by the sidewalk, and a car full of drunk teenagers flies by and kills her. Then the guy comes up missing, and apparently he's been lurking in the woods close to where he had lived, killing anybody that comes in the woods. And so you got this group of teenagers that go to camp in those woods and start getting picked off one by one. And he's killing them all these brutal ways, with like a meat hook up through a dude's chin, and using sledgehammers and little small ball peen hammers and knives, and he's got him in like a utility belt like Jason wears in some of the movies. And then it's just basically it's a slasher and he's murdering teens in the woods. Okay. Then he gets 2 of them in his cabin, torturing them, drives nails through the head of the guy, and then the girlfriend, then he thinks he should pick his pockets and show the girlfriend that he had a ring and was going to propose to her. And he's torturing her, and she yells, "What do you want?" And then he goes to tell his whole backstory about how him and his wife couldn't have kids. And then there was a miracle, his wife got pregnant, and the girl was their little angel. The wife died during birth, and the girl was their little angel and little blessing. And this car full of drunk teenagers killed her. And so, okay, I get that. That's sad. That's bad. But why are you killing these kids? If they didn't do it. And then he goes on to torture her. It's like torture porn. He sits there. He decides to get a rusty ass hacksaw and starts sawing her leg. I'm like, well, there she goes. But he decides to stop halfway through and just leave it half sawed. And then I haven't never seen this in a movie before. He goes and turns around. And he has a brick and just beats the living shit out of her head with a brick. And then there's like two left, and he's chasing them, and there's a little more to it. And I basically give you a little highlight of some of the kills and backstory and what's going on. But yeah, that's it. It was a decent little slasher. It's worth a watch, and that's what I watched. Peace.